Greetings, Ken Martin here, PGA Certified Instructor, Keiser University College of Golf. Today we're in the outside facility on the flagship campus in beautiful West Palm Beach, Florida. And if you haven't subscribed to our website yet, be sure and click subscribe below. What I want to talk about is in a short series of 4 videos is to talk about some of the basic uneven lies that we experience when we're playing golf on the golf course. As you can see here, typical practice area, very flat. Very unlike playing golf with all the different lies. So the first one that I'm going to talk about today is going to be a downhill slope, something that you run into quite often on a golf course. And there's 3 basic areas that I feel are important to keep in mind so that you cover all the bases and have the best chance of pulling off a downhill slope type of shot. Number 1 is the effect that the lie is going to have on the direction the club face is actually looking. The second is actually centerness of contact based on the angle of approach that the slope can present, the angle of approach that the club has to make to gather the golf ball solid. Sometimes we have to change that angle in order to get solid contact and therefore consistent flight. And then the third is balance. Balance before the swing, sometimes that can be affected by the uneven lie, and then of course balance during the swing. So those are the 3 areas we're going to cover, and today, as I said, uneven lie, downhill slope. So I've got a little loft indicator. We're going to talk about club face here first, and this just helps us understand how the direction of the club face is affected by the lie. So on a regular level lie, we can see the amount of slope that the loft that the golf club has. And if I'm on a downhill, then that would be taking this relationship and pointing the slope, or this aim stick representing the ground, pointing it down. So you can see very quickly there's not much loft on that club because of the slope, and so therefore I'm definitely going to have to take that into account. The second thing is that if I tried to swing level at a golf ball, like typical on a good lie, I could gather the golf ball quite easily. But if I try to swing level on a slope like this, I'm going to crash into the ground early. It's up here higher, and so I'm going to have to change that angle of approach in order to make certain that I gather the golf ball out of the center of the face. And then thirdly is balance, which we'll cover in just a minute. We actually have a platform that I can demonstrate balance on. So first, the minute that we are on a down slope, the most important thing to remember is we need more loft. So if I have to hit a golf club higher off of a slope that's a down slope, we just simply get a golf club that has more loft. This is an 8-iron. If I change that to a gap wedge, I'll automatically have more loft from the same slope, because we know our golf clubs increase in loft. So now this one looks like I'd have a chance of getting the ball up in the air off of this down slope. So number 1, make certain that you have more loft in your hands when you're striking off a down slope. Now the second part is the angle of attack. An angle of attack is an interesting concept. So I can't swing, well basically I can swing level, but I have to swing level down the hill. And what that means is more of a descending angle of attack. And one thing we know for certain is that when I am swinging from outside a target line to inside, I get a steeper angle of attack. So outside in can sometimes work really well with a downhill slope. Whereas if I try to come from inside, I'm going to run into the slope much sooner. So angle of attack being steeper, sometimes implementing, depending on the steepness of the slope, an outside in path. So let's go over to the slope and just take a look at how this would work relative to balance. So now I've moved over here to where we can do some training. This is a Tough Lie 360. It's a great platform that we can actually change the lie or slope that we're practicing off of. And number 1, I brought the most lofted golf club. I brought a gap wedge so that I could demonstrate. Again, I've got a down slope, so I'm going to be taking a loft off of this club, but I still have enough to be able to get the ball up in the air. When we talk about balance, you're going to find out from the very beginning it's easier if I actually tilt my body in the direction of the slope. So I call this going with gravity. So if the slope is downhill, I'm going to lean my entire body towards my left leg, or lead side. I'm a right-handed golfer. That automatically gives me insurance, if I stay here, that I will swing more down the slope. If I were to rock back into normal balance, level, you would see that automatically the club would most likely bottom out much further behind the golf ball. So I have to make sure that I stay with the slope. to the point that when we swing, it's also recommended that you make a practice swing or two and actually get used to going with the slope. So you could actually take some steps forward and get used to moving forward so that you don't inadvertently reverse and hit behind it. So one other view, we'll take a look from down the line here. So I talked about an outside-in approach. So again, if I come in too shallow or from the inside, I'm going to have a tendency to run into the ground early. So the angle of approach that works best is a steeper angle of approach. That makes certain that the golf club is working steep enough to get down to the golf ball on a downslope when the ground's running away from me. The only thing you might have to do, which makes sense, is make sure the face is open so that you counteract the left swing with an open face, and that would help the ball coming out more straight. I want to thank you all for watching. Be certain if you have any questions or comments, put them in the comments section below. Even if you disagree, let us know. We all got a lot to learn here.